Tensions are rapidly building in the Middle East as the United States and Iran continue to tighten the noose around each other. But negotiations are ongoing on the surface, first in Oman, and then in Geneva on February 17th. Iran even admitted to agreeing with the United States on the guiding principles to resolve the long-standing dispute over its nuclear activities. However, the strategic military ramp-up from both sides is giving every possible hint of a major confrontation between the two adversaries. On February 19th, Russia and Iran held joint naval exercises in the Gulf of Oman and the northern Indian Ocean. The drill was conducted to check the readiness, promote security, and sustainable maritime maneuvers. According to the United States Naval Institute's published public tracking data, the joint drill was to be conducted near the USS Lincoln, which the U.S. deployed near Iran a few days ago.
The Navy of the Islamic Republic of Iran routinely participates in various exercise programs around the world as part of its defense diplomacy, such as the BRICS exercise that was held in South Africa, after which our naval group is now returning. Our next naval group is currently in Visakhapatnam, India, participating in the Milan exercise. With Russia as well, it is part of our routine plans to conduct exercises both in the Caspian Sea and in the southern seas. These are carried out annually as part of our defense diplomacy.
While the world is sweating over the extensive reinforcement in Middle East waters, satellite images reveal something significant that could enrage the U.S. president. Trump, who keeps boasting about U.S. military strikes on Iran in June 2025 that completely obliterated Tehran's nuclear sites and program, could be furious over the new developments. New satellite images show Iran reinforcing key military and nuclear sites by adding concrete protection, burying tunnel entrances, and repairing damaged bases. Some of these locations were reportedly struck by Israel in 2024 and by the U.S. during last year's conflict. While Iran is flexing its naval might, with Russia by its side, President Trump has probably outplayed Khamenei again. According to Wall Street Journal reports, the United States has built up major air power in the Middle East, which is being considered the biggest since the 2003 Iraq invasion. The U.S. has already deployed dozens of aircraft, including F-16S, F-22S, and F-35S, as well as multiple aircraft carriers in the region. The report suggests that this time, the U.S. buildup could become a longer campaign than last June's B-2 bomber strike on Iranian nuclear sites. So, when will the U.S. strike Iran? Has Trump set a deadline for Iran to finalize the nuclear deal? Most importantly, will this time be an Israel-U.S. joint venture? The White House press secretary faced all the burning questions during the regular press briefing.
On Iran, I'm not asking you for military secrets here, but can you share?
Know I would be so unwise.
Unless you want to give them. Can you share a little bit about the president's thinking on whether or not to strike Iran, who he's talking to, what information he's consuming, and why a strike might be necessary on a nuclear program he says was obliterated by the last U.S. strike?
Well, there's many reasons and arguments that one could make for a strike against Iran. The president had a very successful operation as commander-in-chief with Operation Midnight Hammer, as you know, as you just said, totally obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. The president has always been very clear, though, with respect to Iran or any country around the world, diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration. He's talking to many people. Of course, his national security team, first and foremost, and you know who the members of that team are. And this is something, obviously, the president takes seriously. He's always thinking about what's in the best interest of the United States of America, of our military, of the American people, and that's how he makes decisions with respect to military action of any kind.
And on the flip side of that, he's got the State of the Union speech next week. If he is going to take military action, does the administration believe it's important to sort of convince the American people, sell the American people? Will we hear something about that in the State of the Union to make the case for why something like that might be necessary to risk American lives?
Look, again, I'm not going to engage in a hypothetical. Good try, Garrett, but you can't catch me there. I will say, with respect to the State of the Union, you'll be hearing more about what is to come from the President's speech very soon at the appropriate time.
Is the President seeing enough progress in the Iran talks to let negotiations go a little further? I mean, where do things stand after yesterday's talks?
I think you heard from the administration and the State Department yesterday that there was a little bit of progress made, but we're still very far apart on some issues. I believe the Iranians are expected to come back to us with some more detail in the next couple of weeks, and so the President will continue to watch how this plays out. Sure.
Follow up on that. Thank you, Caroline. On these Iran talks, I mean, how much time is the president willing to give it before he is seriously maybe considering military action? Is he willing to give it that full 2 weeks? And has he given the Iranian officials a deadline on when he wants to see a deal?
It's a fair question, Rachel, but I'm not going to set deadlines on behalf of the President of the United States from up here.
And then just one.
Russia is reportedly joining Iran for joint naval exercises in the Gulf of Oman this week. Has the president issued any kind of warning to Russia or even China not to involve itself if the U.S. decides to strike Iran?
Not to my knowledge, no, or not that I would dictate from this podium. I wouldn't reveal the President's private conversations with world leaders. With respect to that, again, when it comes to Iran, the President has a decision to make, and he will do that, and I'm not going to broadcast what that decision may be ahead of him.
I wanted to ask you about Iran. As the U.S. military builds up around Iran, is President Trump coordinating war plans with Israel so that if he does decide to strike, that Israel will be a part of those strikes?
Look, I don't have any specifics on the President's recent conversations with Israel. As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu was just here at the White House last week or the week before. But again, with respect to Iran, there was some progress made yesterday. There are still a lot of details to discuss, and we'll continue to see how this plays out. You know, the United States government, of course, is always in close communication and correspondence with the State of Israel, and that starts right at the top with the President and Prime Minister Netanyahu themselves.
While the U.S. deploys its largest air power, Iran made one thing clear in Geneva. If the U.S. strikes this time, the consequences will not be confined to its borders.
Iran has always been prepared to engage in meaningful and result-oriented negotiations. Any sustainable agreement must ensure the full recognition of Iran's legitimate rights, deliver tangible benefits, and be safeguarded against unilateral actions that undermine trust and credibility. According to these principles, and as a result of the good offices by our friendly countries in the region, which we are very grateful, a new window of opportunity has opened, under which we had the second round of the negotiations with the United States earlier today here in Geneva. We are hopeful that negotiation will lead to a sustainable and negotiated solution which can serve the interests of relevant parties and the broader region. At the same time, as demonstrated during the aggression of 13 June 2025, Iran remains fully prepared to defend itself against any threat or act of aggression. The consequences of any attack against Iran will not be confined to its borders. To conclude, Mr. President, I would like to emphasize that the Conference on Disarmament must overcome its paralysis and fulfill its mandate through the commencement of negotiations on a comprehensive nuclear weapons convention as an urgent necessity. Accountability is not punitive, it is preventive. Inaction in the face of nuclear threats, aggression, and double standards undermines the very foundations of international law. The choice before us is clear. Either we dismantle nuclear weapons, or they will one day dismantle us. Together we can work to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons.